right, good morning, everybody. Today is November 21st, 2024. Time is 9 o'clock. We're going to call the Green Valley Special Utility District meeting to order. All board members are present and accounted for, so we have a quorum. If everybody can rise for the invocation and pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings over Green Valley. Please continue to do the great things you have done for us so far. Please bless our employees, our partners, and our customers so that everybody has a great end of year and a new year into 2025 coming up. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, we're going to be administering the oath of office for Mr. Cumby and Mr. Hendricks, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Gage.
So good morning, Board of Directors, and happy Thursday morning to you. So this morning we'll start off, and we have in November we had our election. We actually had two candidates for office that were unopposed, and so we have our two candidates here to take their statement of office and then followed by their oath of office. So I yield the floor to Mr. Hendricks for him to read his statement of office and sign that.
I, James Hendricks, do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money, anything of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. The title of position to which I have elected is a Green Valley Utility District Director.
Thank you, sir. I'll now yield to Mr. Cumby for him to read his statement of office.
I, Jerry Cumby, do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or anything of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God. The title of position to which I'm elected or appointed, Green Valley Special Utility District.
Thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, could I have Mr. Hendricks and Mr. Cumby please rise? We're going to administer the oath of your office at this point. Immediately following, we'll notarize the document. So if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, James Hendricks,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
of Green Valley Special Utility District Director
of Green Valley Special Utility District Director,
of the state of Texas,
Texas.
and I will do my best of my ability
I will do my best of my ability
to preserve, protect, and defend
to protect and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
and of this state. So help me God.
So help me God.
Just leave it there. Okay, thank you, Kim. And at this time, I'll move to the next agenda item D, which is the election of officers. In accordance with the bylaws of Green Valley Special Utility District adopted 21 February 2019, Section 2.04, the officers of the district shall be the president, the vice president, and the secretary treasurer. The officer shall be nominated from the board of directors. The election of officers shall be held at the first regular meeting of the board of directors in November, which is today. Before we start the nomination process, I would just like to refresh everyone's memory of the Roberts Rules of Order, paragraph 46.6, which is called nominations of the floor. Under this procedure, nominations from the floor, the chair will call for nominations at the time established by our rules and customs of the organization. A member need not be recognized by the chair to make a nomination. And if they want to speak at the same time or debate on the matter, they can at that time. No second is required, but one or more members may second a nomination to indicate their endorsement of the candidate. And if you do second it, that second would not be out of order. And we can now proceed, and the chair will call for nominations for the office of president of the Green Valley Special Utility District Board of Directors.
I'll make a motion that we nominate John Frias for the board president.
John Frias is nominated for the board of president.
Second.
Is there any other nominations for board president? Hearing no more nominations for board president, nominations are now closed for the office of the president of the board. We will now take a roll call vote. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Ms. Frias? Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Mr. Cumby?
Aye.
At this time, a president has been duly elected for the Green Valley Special Utility Board of Directors. I will now hand the meter back over to the president to administer the rest of the agenda.
Again, thank y'all for your support. I will continue to do the hard work needed. Thank you. At this time, we're going to take nominations for the vice president.
I'll make a motion to nominate Sherry McDaniel for vice president.
We have a nomination for Mr. McDaniel. Okay, no other nominations. Do a roll call vote. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Mr. Cumby?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel, the vice president. I'll now take nominations for secretary treasurer.
I nominate James Hendrick for secretary treasurer.
Second.
Okay, at this time, we have a nomination for Mr. Hendricks. No other nominations. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Mr. Cumby?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Hendricks, thank you. All right, that concludes agenda item D. The executive committee is established. Moving to item E, recognition of departing board member, Mr. Steve Cooper.
So this morning is a little bit bittersweet for all of us as we say goodbye to a longstanding board member here at Green Valley. And on behalf of the staff, I'd like to say a couple of things about Mr. Cooper. First of all, I want to recognize, his service, and the staff would like to thank him for his service, for his patience, for his wisdom, for his loyalty, and for his sacrifice of what he's done. And as all you directors know, this is a voluntary job that you serve willingly of your time and you give your talents to us. And Mr. Cooper has certainly done that. And the staff truly appreciates it, sir. We're sorry to see you go. You've been a tremendous member of the board of directors, and your guidance will long be after you. So the impact on the organization will be felt for many years to come. So with that said, sir, we do have a couple of things to give you. The first thing that we would like to present you with.
What's up, Steve? What are you doing?
Yeah, come forward. The first thing we'd like to present you with is a token of our appreciation presented to Steve Cooper with gratitude and appreciation for your leadership, dedication, and service as a member of the Green Valley Special Utility District Board of Directors, November 21 through November 24, a true leader and friend of GVSUD.
Thank you.
And Before I yield the floor to Mr. Cooper, I would like to do one other thing. And this is the only coin that's been given to anyone outside of the employees of Green Valley. And this is the Green Valley General Manager Coin of Excellence. Sir, you've certainly earned it and deserve it. Thank you very much for your service. I'll yield the floor to Mr. Cooper. Oh, wait.
It's on.
Oh, the plate,
the plate fell on the
floor.
Thank you, Board. I want to thank, first of all of the employees at GVSUD. That's why we serve. We're here to make sure that they have a voice, that their needs are met, and that we are fulfilling our responsibility at ensuring that leadership is honored and respected, and that we're constantly driving this entity forward. Mr. Cumby, the only words of wisdom I have to give you is get into the books. This is such a deep organization that has so many opportunities to learn, to grow, to serve. Take every opportunity to talk to people, to talk to the employees, to actually understand what our responsibilities as a board of director is. With that being said, I just want to say thank you all. I appreciate each and every one of you. And the time I've spent here will be memorable for the rest of my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper, and we wish you the best going forward. All right, at this time, we'll move to agenda item F, public comment. Let's see here, GVSUD welcomes public participation. If you're unable to attend the meeting, a written comment with your name and the topic of the agenda item that you wish to address can be emailed and delivered to GVSUD office located at 605 FM 465 Marion, Texas, 78124. Attention, Ms. Ford, Public Information Officer, aford@gvsud.com or org, sorry. Written comments must be submitted and received no later than 3 p.m. on November 20th, 2024. Please remember that all public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. At this time, I believe we have Mr. Buck Benson. And do we have anybody else on the list? Okay. Okay.
I'll let him lead. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Buck Benson. I have two items that will be in executive session or under item Q. I sent two letters, two different clients to Mr. Rutherford that y'all will discuss in that on those items. And I just wanted to just kind of put a name with a face and kind of give you all some context. I think the letters are pretty self-explanatory, but as to the request, one of them is for a property. It's about 60 acres. We call it the Wunderlich property. It's a development or a proposed development inside the city limits of New Braunfels. In that particular situation, the developer has water service available from NBU. It's in city limits, and I think it made some contact several months ago with y'all, and there seemed to be some explanation that we could get released from y'all sewer CCN and get sewer service from NBU. Already getting water service, and I don't think y'all have any sewer infrastructure in that immediate area. So that's part of our request, and the letter outlines kind of, what we can do and to assist in that process. So again, that's I'm going to call it the Wunderlich property. Secondarily, we have another property or another client at Schwab Road and I-35. I'm going to call that one the Phelan tract. That particular situation is a little more unique. I want to say it's 80, 90 acres. And with respect to the water CCN on that, it has three different providers. It has shirts kind of along the front, MBU along the middle, and then y'all are kind of at the very back of it in terms of the water CCN. And again, in that situation, I don't think y'all have any infrastructure in the area. We've spoken to both MBU and shirts, and there appears to be willingness on their part for shirts to serve the MBU portion. Our request would be that shirts can serve the area that's also in your the area that's also in your CCN. Sorry about that. I should be holding it up. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. So that's the request on that particular one. So again, the letter will make it a lot clearer. You'll see kind of all the tracks and kind of what we're doing. But we've worked with the board in the past on these types of requests, and happy to help in any way we can. But I just wanted to again kind of give you all some context on those. And I'm gonna leave. I think that item's a little ways down. So I'll let y'all go and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Buck. Anybody else at this time? Nope. Okay, moving on. All right, going to consent agenda item G. All items listed below are considered to be routine, non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered an action taken as necessary as part of the order of business. So we have G 1 through 6. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Nope. All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve consent agenda items G1 through G6.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Guys have it. Thank y'all. Okay, moving to item H. Discuss and approve a resolution of number 2024-11B, appointing to Canyon Regional Water Authority one member of the Board of Trustees to fill the 2-year term of office. So as you know, Mr. Cooper was our CRWA representative, and this would be the position that we are filling in. At this time, I'll be taking nominations with the understanding of the duties and responsibilities that are entrusted into that trustee and the voice of the board that we expect to be carrying forward in those meetings. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Sherry McDowell.
McDaniel? McDowell or McDaniel?
Sorry, my
Mike, okay,
Sure,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, McDaniel.
Get your meds.
meds and my Mountain Dew.
All right, so I have a nomination for Ms. McDaniel.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Jerry Cumby.
I have a nomination for Mr. Jerry Cumby.
I'll second that.
We have a second for Mr. Cumby. Okay, at this time, any other nominations? No? Okay, we're gonna do,
Can we have a brief discussion?
go ahead.
Mr. Frias?
Yep.
So I have no opposition to Miss McDaniel. I had suggested Mr. Cumby start attending some CRWA meetings, and he had done so. My thought process was maybe Mr. Cumby would just replace Mr. Cooper's positions. He had limited positions. So I had made that suggestion to Mr. Cumby, and he did attend many of the construction committee meetings and the Board of Trustees meetings. Ms. McDaniel and I have since spoken, and she has expressed interest in it. I have no opposition to her being represented at CRWA. I just I don't want to reverse back on something I'd already spoken in support of Mr. Cumby to him about. So that's the reason for my support of Mr. Cumby here.
Okay, is there any further dialogue from any other board members at this time? No? Okay, so at this time, we will take a roll call vote for Ms. McDaniel first, since she was nominated first. We'll start with Mr. King.
Aye.
Mr. Sherman,
No, I apologize. I don't know when.
Ms. McDaniel,
Aye.
Mr. Frias, aye, Mr. Hendricks,
Aye.
Mr. Robertson,
Nay.
Mr. Cumby.
Aye.
Fair enough.
Okay, believe the ayes have it. no reason, I guess, to take a roll call vote for,
It could be unanimous. Yeah. You still have to.
I'm not gonna embarrass you. You're good. Thank you.
So congratulations. Mr.
Congratulations, Ms.
McDaniel.
McDaniel.
I know you'll do a great job.
We have high expectations and we expect execution and delivery of our wishes. And we know that the hard work is in front of you, so great things to come.
I appreciate that, and I promise that I will do a good job in representing the district.
There is lots to do at CRWA.
That's a very polite way, but yes, there's lots to do.
All right, well, y'all three amigos can hash it out over there and fix CRWA as best y'all can. Thank y'all very much.
Luck with that.
Mr. Cumby, thank you as well. All right. Continuing on, agenda item I, discuss and approve regular board meeting dates for the remainder of the calendar year 2024 and the calendar year 2025. Mr. Gage.
Yes, sir. So on this item, in accordance with our bylaws, Article 5, Section 5.01, our regular meetings of the Board of Directors shall be held monthly as set on the fourth Thursday of the month. In your board package, you do have the list of dates for this next calendar year. Of note, November and December of 25 are actually 1 week prior, and that's due to federal holidays. So for consideration of the board, that's what the calendar looks like for regular scheduled board meetings for next year.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or concerns with the dates in front of you? Any obligations that you know of that are conflicting? We want to make sure that we get this information out way ahead so everybody can adjust accordingly. Anybody has any hunts around those days that they have to worry about?
Say hunts.
Looking at that side of the table. No? Not in your packet? Okay, can we pull it up on the screen, please, or? It didn't make it in the packet? Because it's on the PDFs, okay, so as everybody knows, this time we kind of broke it out to make it easier. I believe that one document's left out. Yeah. All right, work in progress. Mr. David, if you can pull it up on the screen real quick.
Okay, it's displayed on the screen now for the directors.
Thank you very much. So as everybody knows, Thanksgiving and Christmas are usually the two that we have to do a change in date due to federal holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving. Other than that, does anybody have any issues?
I would request that staff send out a calendar invitation to all of us so I can, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. And it's much easier for me to accept an invitation than to put it in there myself.
So we are going to address that particular issue on K2 III. We actually have a program specifically designed to help us out on that. Different than just email wise. So if no opposition to the calendar as presented, we'll take a motion and a vote to adopt this as our board meeting so we can publish that accordingly to the public.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Green Valley Board calendar as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Ayes have it. Okay, thank you. Moving to item J, discuss and approve committee appointments, president of the board. So real quick, I wanted to get this out of the way up front, fast and in a hurry, if I was selected as president. So I took upon the liberty to prepare things just in case this situation was going to happen. So I'll pass the documents around. Please provide any feedback. We'll talk about every committee accordingly as well. Mr. Gage, where you at? Okay, there you go. You need more? Sorry. All right, so executive committee, that's established. We have Ms. McDaniel as the VP and Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Hendricks. Construction committee, Mr. Sherman, Mr. Hendricks, Mr. Cumby, are y'all okay with that on the construction committee? Yes? Good? I need kind of, yeah. Ms. McDaniel, Mr. King, and Mr. Hendricks for Finance and Investment Committee. We are including both into one entity due to the time and scope necessary to keep the continuity going. Does anybody have any oppositions with that? No? Okay. Public Relations Committee, we have Mr. King as the chair, Mr. Robertson and Mr. Cumby. Everybody good with that? Strategic Water Acquisition Committee, I will chair that. Mr. King and Mr. Robertson will be on that committee as well. Good with that. And the Bylaw Committee, Mr. Robertson will be the chair, and Mr. Cumby and Mr. Sherman will be on that committee as well.
Just one comment,
go ahead.
if I may, just to clarify too, unless the other committee members have a problem, I suggest maybe we, because of the Christmas holidays, bylaws get started right at the first of the year.
So let's talk about the dates of, I guess, expectations of meetings and whatnot. So I'll start from the top. Executive Committee will meet as needed. Construction Committee will meet the first Wednesday of every month. And that's what we have established right now as far as the tempo. They're going to be reviewing NSSAs and a lot of the legwork and give us their committee recommendations so the board can take that into consideration. Finance and Investment will meet the third month of the quarter to close out those quarters and kind of police up the financials. So that will be one out of every 3 months that you guys would be meeting. Public Relations will be a second month per quarter. First Tuesday of the month is kind of what we already have tentatively there, but Mr. King, you can change that as needed. The Strategic Water Acquisition Committee, also known as SWAC, that's going to be as needed. And the Bylaw Committee will start the first Tuesday of the month of January, Mr. Bob. So again, these committees, everybody kind of knows their roles and duties already. The Bylaw Committee, though, Mr. Robertson, my request, if you can modernize, update, and let's standardize kind of a lot of the loose ends on the bylaw side.
Yeah. There's
Give
a
us-
lot to work on.
There's a lot to work on. I believe y'all's team can accomplish it in partnership with Mr. Gage and Mr. Almanza. All of y'all are going to be involved to kind of bring us to a corporate level of expectations of what our bylaws should be at today's, expectations.
Believe it or not, I did keep the notes, our past work.
Well, my goal is to, by the end of next fiscal year, have already a new updated version that the board can accept and adopt for 2026 fiscal year.
Sadly
So-
needed.
Other than that, with that, if everybody's okay, no oppositions to anything, then we'll move forward. So, thank y'all for that. We will go into now. No, we don't need it. We're good. Yeah. Agenda item K, here updates on the following items from the GVSU General Manager, staff, and committee chairs. K1, employee recognition, Mr. Gage.
Well, the microphone's on. Okay, my favorite thing to do, like every month, is recognize employees that do great things for us, here at Green Valley. And I'll ask Mr. Nick Main to come forward. So this month, Nick has been with us probably a little bit under a year, I guess.
Yes, sir.
And so Nick has obtained his Class D water license. Nick works in the meter department. And what this allows us to do now is Nick no longer has to work under the supervision of a licensed individual. He now has his own license, which is expanding our ability to get out and take care of our customers. So as you all know, the Class D water license is not exactly easy. The test is relatively hard. And I appreciate Nick's dedication and to get that thing done and the professionalism he exhibited. So I have something for you, sir, right there. General Manager, Corner of Excellence.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much. You can go back to work now.
Thank you, Nick.
Work on that C. Keep
Yeah.
learning, getting a higher license. Keep working at it. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. At this time, we'll go to K2, Business and Operations, General Manager updates. Mr. Gage.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for this month, I do have a general manager memo in your board packet. I'll start off with that before I proceed to the operations update. So for staffing right now, in the memo that I submitted in the board packet, it said we have 52. We actually onboarded a new employee in our wastewater utility technician this week on Monday. So that number is now 53. We do have some hiring actions open. So we have 2 more to hire within our wastewater department and 2 more to hire within our water department. And so that'd bring us up, you total it all up, where the target's 58 once we add our ops manager onto it. So we have those hiring actions open right now. And just an announcement for the board, we did hire internally for a construction inspector. So we have added, we didn't add to the bottom line, but we moved an employee from our wastewater operations over to our construction inspector, working for Mr. Basham. That was Matt Rodriguez. He's been with us for a little bit over a year now. He's fully licensed in wastewater, and he will get his water license, but that adds to our capacity for inspections, which, as you know, we have a lot of developments going on and we need inspectors. So Travis has built his team a little bit in that regard, with adding Matt from water. The second item on my memo was talking about surplus of vehicles. So we did manage to get the vehicle sold that the board declared as surplus several months ago. The total price that we received for 3 of those vehicles were $31,103 that we received for those. We did have, the memo states that we have 1 more vehicle listed. That one is sold as well as of this week. And I think we received 6,100. So we received 6,100 for that vehicle. Later in the agenda, I'm going to ask the board to declare a couple of more of our vehicles as surplus. We'll discuss it at that agenda item, but just give you a little prelude. The last comment on the memo there is our strategic plan, and I'm extremely excited about this. We're moving forward very rapidly. So this week on, I believe it was Tuesday, we sent out the employee survey as part of the discovery phase of our strategic planning effort. And also on Tuesday, we sent out the director and key leader interview schedule. The way that's going to work is the week of 2 to 13 December. You select the time that you would like to be interviewed for the directors. And then it'll be about a 1-hour interview asking you questions about the future of Green Valley. It's going to be really exciting. All of this information, all these surveys get compiled, and it goes to our workshops that we're going to do in January to really get this thing going. So it's an exciting time. I just want to highlight that we are not sitting on our laurels. We are moving out very quickly with our strategic plan. So just wanted to highlight to you. So pending any questions on those 3 items, I'll proceed with the rest of the
Just to
operations report. Yes,
clarify
sir.
real quick, from my understanding, because I skimmed over it. Those meetings were going to be via Teams, right?
Yes, sir. So the meetings that you will schedule, your interview will be via Teams and or Zoom, whichever, I don't know which one it is, but it's that type of thing. And then the memorandum that I provided to the board members has the areas for you to consider and reflect upon before your interview. But yes, sir, it'll be digitally. Yes, sir. Okay, moving on to the operations report next in there. Not a great deal to highlight on the operations report, but I do always want to highlight where we're at with our average daily sewer going into our Santa Clara plant, because that's very important as we're looking toward, expansion of our capacity there at Santa Clara. So as of this month, October, we're 33.88% flow capacity of our 0.25 capacity there. As you notice, the previous months were higher. It's very easy to explain because we're entering into our 3 low usage months for sewer. This is like when we do winter averaging beginning at this time of year. So you can see it tick off because usage would go down typically in this time period. I just want to highlight that one. Moving on down to meters. We are continuing the march on meters. So we're up to 18,376 in the ground. That was 89 meters installed last month. And that it's not going to slow down. We don't believe we're on pace for our 1,000 per year, which is holding true to our projections. I just want to keep that highlighted in everyone's mind. I misspoke. I'm sorry. I said 89. We said 86. Sorry, I misspoke on that one. And I believe that's all. Pending any questions, that's all I needed to highlight from the operations report.
Anybody have any questions or comments on the presentations as delivered?
I have one more item, sir.
Yes, we're going into the long-range calendar.
Okay, for the, in the public meeting here, I think I'm going to begin, if the directors will just direct their attention to the screen behind you. What I'll begin by doing is, the president of the board asked me to lay out what we're using in terms of a long-range strategic planning calendar and tool. So what we did, we went out and found a really useful tool to allow us to do long-range planning. The beauty of this tool is it allows different views for different people. So I'm going to show you the public view that any one of our customers can go on our website and look at to see what's going on in the district. And it's very simple. You go to District, About Us, and you go to, oh, my mouse is crazy. My mouse is still crazy. And then you go to Calendar, and you hit this little button that says Calendar. So this is what's going to come up. And on this calendar that the public can see, it shows our billing cycles. It shows, federal holidays, other events that's going on within the district. And it shows, we just discussed the committee meetings. It shows the committee meetings, where they are in the calendar, as well as the board meetings. And if you'll notice on the regular board meeting, it says open to the public, because regular board meetings are. The committee meetings, of course, are not open to public, but committee meetings don't have quorums anyway. That's the way that works. And you just, in order to navigate this thing, you just click through the months and you can see what's going on inside of Green Valley at all times. So this is the public calendar, and the tool that we use and where it's located, you could always find it. For the directors itself and internally, we have an internal calendar that has much more information in it that the public's not necessarily interested in. And that calendar, I sent the link to the directors. All you have to do is save it to your favorites. It's web-based. You can get it from any document. And you can also link this to your Outlook calendar if you use Outlook as a email device. But what this one does, it shows everything in the district that the public's not interested in, but it's also when we're doing our training. So you see we have the purple is our training events going on. When we do internal training, such as the operations policy, when we do staff budget reviews, and all of that information, the board members have full access to that, as does everyone within Green Valley. And so this is how we chart it. So we use this tool to plan ahead for our board meetings when we were going to look at rates again, when are we going to look at budget again, when are we going to look at policies. We have all of that listed out through the year, and you navigate the same way. So, it's just very simple. You just click through. And if you wanted to look at it differently, by day, by week, by year, whatever, just click the button. It's very user-friendly. And what's cool about it is you can't mess it up, right? So if you get on there and start clicking around, you won't move anything around. It'll be fine. You click at your heart's desire and you'll be perfectly okay. So pending any questions on that, that's the calendar tool. That's where it's located. And that's how we're managing our long-range planning for the district. I'm gonna go back to the
So some comments on that. So we met about 3 weeks ago
executive committee, yeah.
to go over that. That tool is going to be very helpful so that when we don't be late on audit reports, that we make sure we maintain our budget calendars of when we're going to talk about things, and those hot items that are expected of us to deliver on, we at least have that far side of planning. So thank you for putting that together and finding that tool. Hopefully it's not just there and doesn't get used. Please click on it, use it. And again, committee chairs, if you have an issue with dates and all that stuff, just get with Mr. Gage and change it accordingly. He'll update it to where everybody's, can see it, make sure it's not conflicting with another schedule. But it's there at your convenience. Okay, moving on.
Can I just say one
Go ahead.
thing real quick?
Mhm.
So I actually sat down with Mr. Gage, and just to tell y'all, this is, so you don't have to use the link. There is an app for it. And I actually have the whole entire calendar on there. You just download the app, you save his link into it, and it becomes its own calendar. So all of that's on there. Have all of the, so it's a nice little tool that you can just
Yeah.
put the app on there. You don't have to keep
You
going
could
to.
turn
his
on
link.
and turn off certain
Yes.
icons to
Mhm.
where it's only to what you need to see. You don't need to see everything, but whatever you
It's just
care
you
to
can
worry
see, you can
about.
load it on your iPad.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use the link every time. You can actually run it as an app.
Hmm.
And then it's real time. It updates.
It'll do the
anytime.
notifications and all that. So
So I actually keep it on my on my desktop of
called
my,
Team Up.
it's called Team Up.
So
Download it and then he'll send you a link to his. You just put it in you have to sign a Team Up account. And then he'll send you a link and you just upload it and that it just makes a separate calendar just for that. So that way you can have it right on your desktop of your iPad.
yep. So if you have any issues or questions, get with David and then he'll get everything polished up for you guys to use it and keep up with that. Thank you. All right, moving on to item agenda K3, CRWA Board of Trustees post-meeting updates. Mr. Cooper Leb, Mr. Sherman.
Yes, sir. So it was a pretty heavy meeting. There were heavy reports from the attorneys about various things. A group that we're not part of, the Hayes Caldwell Group, had quite a bit of heavy discussion going on, but I'll give you the highlights that affect us. The drought report, we are very close to stage 4 restriction at Canyon Lake. At this point, the lake is only 52% full. No boat ramps open. I mean, it's low. The Alliance Regional Water Authority interconnection at Lake Dunlap, which is how we will get our ARWA water, it is tied in a, I guess, a temporary fashion. If you remember, I reported we have to extend the line to a different tank on the CRWA property. They can make it work for now. CRWA can by moving water around out in the system so we can get our water now from ARWA. There is a bit of a debate about the water chlorine residual. ARWA is meeting the TCQ requirement, I'm told. But CRWA will need to boost the chlorine residual that they receive from ARWA to send it out into the system. There's detention time in the system, chlorine degrades, so CRWA will have to touch up the chlorine. I continue to ask, what does the contract say? What chlorine residual is ARWA supposed to deliver? What, are they doing it or not? You know, it's should be very straightforward. Haven't got a firm answer yet on that. At Hayes Caldwell, that is the other treatment facility that we don't receive water from. They're having problems with some of their equipment, their filtering equipment. Mr. Everett, CRWA's general manager, wants to add an additional pilot study to help them decide what specific equipment they're going to design the plant expansion around. There's no money budgeted for that. Now that's money that we're not paying, but it's tough to add something that's been unbudgeted for the year. Wells Ranch 3, this does affect us. We have if you recall, I've reported on 920 additional acre feet of water that's easily available just by upgrading 2 wells. So that's the low hanging fruit we've talked about. We're going ahead and we're working through that process. The Wells Ranch 3 expansion is a much larger, couple $100 million expansion. Last we got an opinion of probable cost. So they're going to update the opinion of probable cost, and it's due in December. So in the December meeting, prepare for a big number to hear about what that next expansion might cost on the Wells Ranch.
How many
project.
entities are signed on as interested or along
So
with the
there
Wells
are
Ranch 3?
13 total entities at CRWA, and it's much smaller. I think 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Gage is giving me numbers.
So for the 920 acre feet, it's Springs Hills, it's East Central, it's Green Valley.
There's 3 for
Um,
the
Okay.
smaller amount.
And Crystal Clear, I can't remember, not Crystal Clear, it's just those three for it. And our portion of it is 306 acre feet for that 920. So that contract was reviewed with all the general managers together about 2 months ago now. So we're waiting for that contract to come back, and we still don't have it back from CRWA because we all had revisions to it, right? So that's what we're waiting on.
So, but in the overall Wells Ranch 3 project where there's more people, I think it's 7 or 8 entities. I can't remember. It's more. So the big dollar will be divvied up.
Yeah.
But I will be asking the question, hey, what is our cut? What is our share so that we
Exactly.
can plan for it in the coming years? Some of the heavy legal stuff we got a report on. If you recall, there was an issue with some generator design and installation some years ago. As it's probably not a surprise, we got to the very end of the time frame where you can pull more people in. And so now CRWA, the design engineer, the general contractor, and now the electrical subcontractor. The electrical sub was drawn in at the last, I think they said they reported October 30th, they received their papers. So now that delays when we would actually start to process going through the legal resolution process. We're working on getting the generators running in the meantime. There's design work happening on that, but that is going to stretch out for quite a bit. There was another heavy legal report, Hayes Caldwell arguing amongst themselves. The Hayes Caldwell group is 4 entities that we cannot get water off of their plant, but they have to work together and figure out how they want to address their problems. And it's been not smooth, I'll just say. So, and then moving on, we had the bids for the 920 acre foot upgrade. That was 2 wells were going to be upgraded. So the bids for that work were opened, and I wasn't terribly happy with exactly how the process went. In our packet, we didn't get the bids. We just got a recommendation. I insisted they go print out the bids so we could see what the numbers were, who were the bidding contractors, just questions, as I'm sure it surprises no one. I had questions. There was some additional items that they wanted to change order into this job that I don't think we should, because it would take up the entirety of our available change order capacity. Legally, you can only add 25% of the base bid dollar amount by change orders, and they were wanting to add generator installation into that amount. And then I also had a question regarding, do we pay for that generator installation when it doesn't only serve us? These were the questions I was asking. I'm pinching the pennies. So Sherry, get ready. That's going to be a fight. And those are the high levels of what really affects Green Valley. It was a very heavy meeting, heavier than normal.
Okay, thank you for the update on that. And Ms. McDaniel, get ready for learning all those issues. All right, moving on to Board of Managers, post-meeting updates for CRWA, Mr. Gage.
So item number 4, the board of managers did meet last week, but they met when I was out of town, so I did not attend that. But I did talk to the other managers that were on there. Essentially, the same discussion carried forward into the Board of Trustees meeting, so there's nothing significant to report out of the Board of Managers this month.
Okay, thank you very much. ARWA Board of Directors meeting updates, Mr. Sherman.
The ARWA meeting yesterday had technical difficulties. And after 45 minutes of waiting to be led into the meeting, it was a remote meeting. I dropped off and had other things to work on. I have asked Graham Moore, the general manager, for an update on the business discussed, if the business was able to proceed or if they had to cancel it. Have not got a response yet, but I'll email that out.
Just
to the
have
board.
Mr. Gage
Yeah.
email that out to everybody so we're aware.
It's the first time in all my time at ARWA that they've been I've not been able to get into the meeting. I had some technical issues last month. A couple times during the meeting, we had to stop and reboot things, and that must have carried forward. So
Well, hopefully they get that updated for next month's. Are they having a next month meeting or no?
yes,
They are, okay. All right, going on to K6, District Engineers Update, Mr. Basham.
Morning. My report is pretty brief this month. We've got 101 total projects going. 6 of those are in closeout, 54 in construction, and 41 in design. I have a CIP update I look forward to in the future, providing progress pictures from our future projects and things of such. But as of now, we're still in the design phase on some of those and in the bidding phase. The Santa Clara wastewater treatment plant was advertised for bid on November 5th, and we held a pre-bid meeting on Wednesday, and we had a pretty good participation at that meeting. We had a population projection workshop with our consulting engineer for our wastewater master plan on the 8th, which also went well. And then we held a Plan 11 expansion pre-construction meeting with both contractors on that job on November 5th. So all I've got. Any questions?
No, I appreciate all the data that is plugged in for your report. Keep it up. Anybody else have any comments or concerns or questions to what he addressed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basham. Okay, moving on to K7 Investment Committee updates. Mr. King.
Yeah, there's a memo in the packet. We did meet on the 22nd of October. I would like to refer you to the cash investment report, which I believe is G3 in your packet. If you could take a snapshot of this now versus 18 months ago, it looks quite a bit different. And so I just wanted to highlight the differences for Mr. Cumby's sake, especially. First of all, we've switched over to Frost. That has gone very well. We've consolidated our bank accounts from, I forgot how many we had at Marion State Bank, but it was like
20, 30, something.
yeah, down to 6 at Frost. That's a big difference. And then on the right-hand column of that report, the interest, most that snapshot 18 months ago had no numbers left of the decimal point. And now there's numbers left of the decimal point. So just wanted to highlight those two things. That's all I have.
No, those are great. And you've done tremendous work on modernizing that part. And thank you, Gina, for your work into it as well. That is not an easy task to do as fast as y'all done it. It's pretty amazing. All right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. King? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Construction Committee updates. Mr. Sherman.
Yes, sir. The construction committee met. Our task at this meeting was to review the 3 non-standard service agreements. I think this was a really good idea by the executive committee staff, whoever came up with this. It gives us some work to do, and it will expedite the board meetings because we had a solid hour where we could go through in detail these non-standard agreements. We can ask all our questions. Travis was able to stop what he was doing, go grab some more data for us, present it to us right there, and explain why we should approve. On all 3 of these, the staff recommends approval. The committee unanimously recommended approval. So down under item N 1 through 3, we should be able to expedite our process here. That was the focus of the committee meeting.
Okay, thank y'all for y'all's work on that. And going forward, that's going to be a key thing to make us more efficient and effective on diving into this stuff during those committee, meetings versus taking time during the board meetings to do that kind of work and question. Not saying that the board can't ask anything of their concerns. It's just all the really technical stuff. We'll leave that to the committee. All right, moving on to agenda item L, consideration and action to declare surplus of fleet vehicles. Mr. Gage.
So on item L, if the board members will look at that item, it's our Excel spreadsheet fleet report for what we have. So we have 36 vehicles, pieces of rolling stock, if you will, in Green Valley right now. As mentioned previously in the operations update, we have gotten rid of, or we surplused 4 of those vehicles that you declared surplus, the board did. And today I'm coming to you specifically down at the bottom of the report to ask to surplus 2 more vehicles. Those vehicles are unit number 110 and 112. Unit number 110, and it's also listed there under L1 on the agenda. This is a Ram 5500. It is well past its service life. Recently, the motor failed badly on it, and it was going to be a $14,000 price tag to rebuild it. So we opted not to do that. This is going to be replaced by the service bid vehicle for wastewater that was authorized by the board in the 25 budget. So this is getting rid of this liability, if you will, and moving forward. Now, the vehicle does run. It just needs to have some engine work done to it. That's not worth it at this point. So that's that vehicle. That's item one. Number two is a Chevy Traverse, 2018 Chevy Traverse, about 70,000 miles on it. This was a vehicle purchased for our HR director's transportation several years ago. It's no longer required in our new configuration. We do have one Traverse that we use routinely for mail, for staff runs, for various things, mail, bank, etc. We keep that. That's a pool vehicle, and we use that with multiple people. This particular vehicle is collecting dust in our parking lot, and it's not useful for anything else. I can't do service calls in it or anything like that. So we don't need another vehicle that cannot be used for other things. So in that regard, those two vehicles, I'm going to ask the board to declare a surplus, and we'll proceed. If you're looking at your report, the very last vehicle on that report, unit number 117, that is one. It's our second headquarters vehicle, if you will. It's a general manager's vehicle once upon a time. I am not asking to declare that a surplus at this time. I'm going to wait until we get, these additional folks hired that we're working on to make sure that I have enough vehicles. But I will most likely come back at a point in the future and go ahead and surplus or ask to surplus that vehicle as well. One other comment on this thing before I ask the board to declare items number L1 and 2 as surplus. The rest of the report is organized now by least to most mileage. And just in terms of fleet efficiency, we're exploring options to maybe look at different ways instead of purchasing vehicles. We're going to explore lease. We're going to explore some other things that I'm not ready to bring to the board yet, because there's certain pieces of equipment that I think we're just going to have to outright own because of the specific, things that you need on those vehicles to do our line of work, but some of them we don't. So I'm doing some analysis on that. As you can see, our fleet is aging quite a bit in terms of miles, large service area. So just keep that in mind. And at this time, pending any questions, I'd like the board to declare item number L1 and L2 as surplus, and we'll move forth with disposing the surplus.
Identify VIN number or anything, or can we just list it as item? I mean, we could do unit number to identify what it is. What do you?
I think the description here is fine. I would just, unit number is fine since you guys since that's your tracking mechanism.
2012 Dodge Ram 5500 is unit number 110. And then the Chevy Traverse is unit number 112.
No one has any further discussion. I'll make a motion that we declare surplus unit number 110, a 2012 Dodge Ram 5500 series, and unit number 112, a 2018 Chevy Traverse, as surplus.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Ms. McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you. Moving to item M, consideration action to approve offering documents and publication of notice of sale related to the issuance of 14.365 million in revenue bonds as authorized by the TCEQ, Mr. Gary Kimball. Morning.
Microphone.
You're good.
Is better?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. This is a continuation of the process that was initiated back in the summer when your engineers submitted an application to the TCEQ for permission to sell bonds to finance specific projects described in the application. We've received that TCEQ approval. Today's action is not technically required, but I never want to just show up with bids in hand and not let you know that I'm on my way with those bids. So today's item is basically getting your approval to advertise the sale. so that I can take bids on December the 19th, the date of your next regular board meeting. And I'll be back in front of you with those bids in hand for the sale of those bonds in December. After awarding the sale of the bonds based on the low bidder in December, the bond transcript has to be submitted to the Texas AG's office. They have to sign off that you have legal authority to issue the debt. TCEQ has basically already issued that approval. The Attorney General's office has to follow on and do the same thing, which would allow us to close the deal and put funds in your account on January the 23rd. So the offering documents that we use to solicit bids have been scrubbed by your engineer, by finance staff, and by your outside bond attorney and ourselves. This is a disclosure document. It's meant to highlight the current financial position of the district, speaks to all existing outstanding bonds, and solicits bids from interested investors. They have to submit all or nothing bids, and that'll happen the morning of December the 19th, and I'll be back to you on that date with the bids in hand. So happy to answer any questions anybody has about the process. Today's action is simply your blessing for us to move forward and advertise the sale.
Thank you for explaining the process. And does anybody have any questions? We all understand that this is related to the expansion of our sewer plant. Okay. Gary, you're good to go on that. Mr. Gage, Shan, everybody's blessed off. Okay. Go ahead.
Tracking current rates, what do you expect? Is that something you don't want to say out loud?
No, I'm happy to. No, and it's a great question. So for purposes of the TCEQ approval, we used a budget rate of 5%. That's fixed rate, 30-year money. Current market, based on a couple of sales that I had actually on Tuesday, would suggest 4.5%. So, you know, we're a good 50 basis points below what we used for budgeting right now. Can't predict where rates will go, obviously, but at this stage, everything looks very much in line with what we were hoping.
But you don't think Jerome Powell's going to come out in December with a, decrease in the basis points?
Well, he's
trying to earn his
backpedaling a little
job.
bit.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
trying
he's
to keep his
backpedaling a
job,
little
so-
bit, but, I will tell you what the Fed does is on the short end of the
Mhm.
maturity scale. So they adjust the Fed funds rate. What the bond market decides to do with that information is completely
their own-
independent of what the Fed does.
Drats. All
Our
right.
market's a little more stable, frankly.
That's good, but we want to benefit off of decrease as much as we can.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And so, our sale would be after the Fed action. So
Okay.
it'll be baked into whatever rate that we get when we take bids on the 19th.
Okay, well, we're doing what we can to pinch pennies, so.
No, absolutely.
Anything you can, obviously, we're not gonna go with the highest, so just,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
our job is to try to get you the cheapest money available. And right now, like I said, we're a good half point below what we budgeted, which is, very
that's
good.
best we can offer right now, I
Yeah.
guess, so. All right, with that, does anybody have any comments, concerns, questions? Last call. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve offering documents and publication of the notice of sale related to the issuance of 14.365 million in revenue bonds as authorized by the TCEQ.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. McDaniel and second by Mr. Robertson. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Mr. Cumby?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Thank you all very much.
See you in December.
See you in December.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item N, consideration and possible action related to non-standard water and wastewater service agreements. N1, Neil Tract, Schmuckel subdivision, KB Homes, water, non-standard service agreement, Schmackle Road and County Road 315, Cibolo, Texas 78108. Who's taking this one?
I,
Gary or Travis?
I didn't know how, I guess to address it, since we've already covered the details in
Mhm.
the construction committee, I could give you a brief
Yeah, just brief
description of all
overview.
three. The Needle track is 300 351 EDUs for both water and wastewater, with the 4 irrigation meters being added on the water side to that EDU count. And the Alltech Industrial, which is the Stewart Perry Company, that is just 2 3/4-inch water meters equaling 3 EDUs. All 3 of these have no cost to the district, and we have the capacity and capability to serve all 3 of them.
Just as a sidebar too, I remember, I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
Go ahead, sir.
That it was mentioned, I think it was the last board meeting, that encumbered in the contract was that they cannot make connections until the sewer plant expansion happens.
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. All 3, or the one sewer contract does have that clause in it.
Right, thank you.
Yes.
The only other thing I was going to add, the fire flow on the 2 water, we're good for fire flow of the respective governing, entities. And then that comment of the plant needs to be expanded to receive this wastewater flow, and they can't send it to us until we're ready. So,
Yes, each study and each contract have that built in, and it'll line out which phase of the expansion, whether it's the 0.5 or the 1.25 expansion.
the construction committee that reviewed this unanimously recommended approval for all 3 of these items.
Staff is similar. We recommend approval.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing the work. So I believe per Shan's discussions in the past, we have to approve every one of them individually and not a full,
Yes,
one lump sum.
that's right. That's right.
Okay. All right. So without further discussion, we'll entertain a motion for N1.
Make a motion that we approve the non-standard service agreement for the Neil Track water, item N1.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving to N2.
I'll make a motion that we approve the wastewater non-standard service agreement for the Neil Track, item N2.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, and a second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on
Motion
to
that we-
N3.
That we approve the water non-standard service agreement for the Stewart Perry Company Incorporated, the Alltech Industries, in parentheses, item N3.
Second.
And I'll take okay, so you have a motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. King. Any questions on this one? Nope. Comments, concerns? Nope. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's all the ends. Moving on to item O, here updates on the items below from GVSUD General Counsel, Mr. Shan.
Yes, I'm not aware of any new pending or threatened litigation involving the district. As far as legal changes, the pre-filing of bills started last week. There have been several hundred bills filed. I haven't checked in the last couple of days, but there are 4 or 5 that I'm tracking to see how they turn out. One of them is HB 157, and that would require TCEQ to compile an annual report about the state of water availability and efficiency and supply levels. And that's going to, if passed, that's going to turn into sort of an unfunded mandate for the district, because we're going to have to supply a lot of information to the TCEQ and cooperate them in preparing that annual report. So that's one of them. On the hiring side of things, there is a bill, HB 323, which would require all political subdivisions to utilize an E-Verify process while hiring. So yet again, unfunded mandate likely. There is a bill 671 that'll be near and dear to Mr. Hendricks's heart, which would prohibit the use of public funds for lobbying purposes.
Yes.
And it would also somewhat controversially prohibit a district from paying dues to any nonprofit association that in turn hires a lobbyist. So
That's a shame.
it's kind of the double barrel there. There is a bill that would loosen some of the district requirements as far as how often they're required to meet and allow meetings by phone with, and this is aimed at some of the smaller rural districts that would allow them to only meet quarterly if that was all they needed to do. There is there's a bill that HB 182 that would require government contractors to be provided with rest breaks during the construction process. So that's also an interesting bill I'm filing. And finally, yesterday, the governor issued a declaration which directs the PUC and another agency, the Emergency Preparedness Agency, to work on assuring critical infrastructure protection, particularly from China. There have been some recent events involving China attacking both electric utility infrastructure and water infrastructure. So the Public Utility Commission is charged with forming a committee with this other agency. And so I think it'll take several months, but I feel that there will be some directives to us, and we may be also requested to provide some information as individual districts as far as what we do to help protect or what our methods are for protecting against those mainly cyber attacks. So that's the only thing I have right now. The session doesn't start till January, so there's a lot of time for more bills to be submitted, and I'll keep an eye on those and report to you monthly.
If I may, I'd just like to make a sidebar comment real quick. CRWA is still maintaining a lobbyist, and it's for them, for the broad spectrum of customer base they have, they're pretty effective. And I remember the lobbyist during the session especially came and gave a lot of follow-up as to what may pass and what may not. So I implore the CRW representatives, hey, bring those reports back to us if they're significant.
So you do bring up a very good point. So I would charge y'all three to get with the GMs and the board president and see if you guys can get your lobbying firm to do a presentation on what they're tracking and what they're going to be pushing for from a CRWA aspect. And then just see if we can get that by
So to that
December.
discussion, the lobbyist as of late has
Mhm.
not been doing as much.
He
There's
should be
actually
ramping up.
There's actually we haven't been getting much communication from them. So there's actual discussion of going out for RFQs for a new
Yeah.
lobbyist. So House Bill
323.
might affect whether we go through that effort. But no point taken, and I'll speak with Mr. Foose and Carrie Everett about it.
Yeah, we just want to make sure if we're paying for something that we are tracking what they're pushing on their end to make sure it's in line with us as well. We don't want things contradicting what our objectives are.
I'm sorry. I
Go ahead.
keep cutting you off.
I mean, I think it's just, we're kind of nipping at the deadline. When they are going to get in session, they're going to get busy. We just want to make sure our voice is heard as well.
Right.
So,
Well, and what monies may come out of this, because I keep hearing
Yeah.
the governor wants to put out more money into rural water.
well, and y'all can just keep us abreast of that, Mr. Basham, and
Will do.
y'all just keep on the pulse.
It's kind of an odd legislative session
Yeah.
for water districts and water issues
Mhm.
because the longtime chairman on the House side retired. So
Yeah. So they'll have a new chair for that committee, and we'll have to
Right.
see who that is, because they haven't appointed that
that's
person yet,
that's
right?
correct. That's correct.
Yeah, they'll appoint them in January.
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. I don't.
If you can just find out who it's gonna
Will
end up
do.
being and, what their views are on that.
Just
Thanks.
a follow-up point real quick. Mr. Sherman, I'd be really interested. You mentioned Mr. Foos. Is there a term where we just elected new officers? Is that going to come up for CRWA or are their terms up?
He is intending to stay on
Okay.
after his retirement from the city of Cibolo.
Right.
It's my understanding Cibolo is going to retain him as representatives to as a representative of CRWA.
Yeah.
He has support from the board to remain the chair. Brandon Rohan is the vice chair. He has
Right.
support to remain there. So I think Mr. Foos is going to stick around. He had a legitimate kind of a soapbox moment where he was discussing the volume of paper water that is required, and he wants to fight that fight, I believe. So
Ah.
I think he's going to be over there for the foreseeable future, and good working relationship with him. He knows Sherry and Green Valley well. So
Well, without his encumbrance of working for the city of city of Cibolo, he may have more time to devote to it. So that's a good thought.
Shane, I had a question. There's, Abbott put out, there is an environmental agency that is targeting some mussels that are in our water supplies. It's not zebra mussels, it was like a Guadalupe River mussel. There's one that they actually got put on the endangered species list, and then there's 4 others that if those 4 came up on the endangered species, it's going to potentially do to Texas what California did to themselves over that 1-inch silverfish. We don't want it to be to the point where we can no longer pull water. Is this something that is actually going to gain traction, or is this something that is just environmentalists are just waving their arms? And
I have to confess, I don't know much about that, but I'm happy to look into it and find out what the status is. I know a couple people I can call in particular that are high-level officials at the river agencies.
Okay.
And so they could tell me what the likelihood is.
and if you did some background, it looks like it's the same kind of companies that actually got the silverfish in California endangered.
Okay.
And it could seriously impact us here.
Definitely.
Which is,
We don't
Yeah.
need days or weeks spending on this. We just,
yeah, just
a
look
quick-
into
a
it.
No,
quick
no,
phone call, dude.
a couple of phone calls and a
Yeah,
full
I want the
report back.
billables to go up all crazy.
Yeah, let's not run up a bill, but
James charged me with a month's worth of work, so.
Understood.
Yeah.
Message
Yeah,
received.
Not yet. Please. Okay, if that's everything on that agenda item, we're gonna go to executive session to discuss items P, Q, R, S, T. Time is 10:18. We'll take a 10-minute break before we enter into it, and then once we get out, we'll go from there. Thank you. And we are live. Back to you at Green Valley's board meeting. We are coming into open session. Time is 11:28. We have no actions on any items that were discussed in executive session. We're going to agenda item U, consideration and possible action on items discussing, oh, sorry, that one's already U. We're done with that. So consideration and proposed items to be included on next month's board meeting agenda, which is item V. Does anybody have anything that they need to get on next month's board meeting? No? Nope. All right, if you have anything that comes up between now and then, please get with Mr. Gage. At this time, we'll go to item W, motion to adjourns.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, time is 11:29, and that concludes the meeting.